Why, hello. So I thought I will do almost like a bonus episode slash video about everything that went down in September slash October because it was quite a ride, if I may say so. And it was especially quite an emotional ride. So where do we start? Let's start with the 31st of August because that was the day we decided let's take a pregnancy test because my period was late, very late. Normally I have a cycle that's very short, like 21 to 23 days, not like 28. And I think I was like almost 2 weeks overdue. And even though we kind of like used protection, it was like still unusual that it was that late, and we were like, it shouldn't have happened, but we took the test and it was positive. And at first that was, yeah, definitely a shock, like we did not expect that to happen. We kind of half planned for it eventually that it will happen. I mean, it is on my vision board for this year. So it was still kind of like a nice surprise, but at first we were like, fuck, what are we going to do? And then on Sunday, we had our little panic attack. We had a little chat. Margie's coming here as well. And we just had a chat about it all to just see, like, are we ready? Can we do this? What is happening? And at that point in time, I definitely had also kind of like financial worries because I was like, my business is not yet making enough money. My boyfriend was looking for a new job as well. So for me, it was definitely clear that I had to find a new job myself just to support the business, but also the family. And that meant now with being pregnant, I had to find a new job, which was also very scary. But it also kind of like opened up some more opportunities, and I just started applying and refocusing on a couple of things. So I was like shifting a couple of things in my business, meaning I simplified a lot of things and automized them to just reduce the workload to allow an additional job to come in. And I already had like a mini side job that made like an additional like £100 a month. That's not much, but it was still something. And then I found a new job, which is a full-time job that has actually been really, really good. And that happened within the span of a couple of weeks. So I had my first interview, and I think 3 weeks or 2 weeks later, I got the job. So that happened very quickly in September as well. And there was just like so much to navigate, so much to integrate, and so much to be like, okay, how are we going to do this? Whilst navigating this excitement of being pregnant, really, which we were super excited about after that first panic attack. We were literally in heaven. We're like, yes, we want to keep it and everything. And we had then our first scan, and then the doctor said, yeah, it's like 5.5 weeks, even though according to my calculations, it should have been 6 to 7 weeks already. So it was kind of smaller than we thought. And then she said, yeah, we should come back in like 2 weeks time for another scan to see how it's developing. That was around my birthday, which wasn't great, so mid-September. And unfortunately, that day we received the message that the development of the baby is not as expected. So it was way smaller, and there was a little heart flicker, so we could see a tiny, tiny flicker on the monitor. So that was exciting, yet it was also very concerning because the doctor literally said to us, don't get your hopes up. There might be a chromosome issue and the fetus might not make it. So instead of being super excited that we saw the little flicker and the heart beating and stuff, we left the hospital feeling more sad than anything, because we're like, fuck, what are we going to do now? Can we even do anything? Like, we were really, really worried. But we said, okay, let's just take these 2 weeks as they come. Let's just focus on health. Let's just focus on me, for example, focus on myself, try everything to provide everything for the baby. Maybe it does make it. So that also obviously resulted me in Googling hours on end how common miscarriage is, or miscarriage specifically, because I had my normal symptoms, right? I had my normal pregnancy symptoms. And there were like it was literally like 50-50. There were so many messages from people who were like, oh no, I can still make it. And I was like, oh, that's giving me hope. And others were more around, nah, I didn't make it. It was pretty clear, like the miscarriage symptoms happened rather quick afterwards that we found out. So it didn't help. Let's say it that way. The Google search didn't help. And after 2 weeks of being in this limbo, which I think was one of the most difficult times, because you don't know, can you like still be excited? Can you still be happy about it all? Or do you need to be worried and sad now? Like, what's going on? So it's literally such an emotional turmoil. It is so hard to navigate and just get like a clear head. And at the same time, again, I was in these interview stages of the new job, which did work out, but obviously just after, but it was just like so much to process. My poor head, I don't think I could cope properly. So then when we had the next scan, that was the scan when we found out. So we went to the hospital and there was a little bit of a delay. So we got into the scanning room a little bit later and we were really, really nervous. So I was just like holding my boyfriend's hand. We were like clutching hands. We were like, oh, please, please, please be okay. We just were like praying literally for a heartbeat and for the baby to be okay. But the doctor then really quick said, she doesn't have good news and it didn't make it. And at first I was just quiet, silent. I couldn't say anything because it's just such a shock to the system to just have those news, because up until that point, as I continued having normal pregnancy symptoms, they did get a bit weaker, but there was no bleeding, there were no signs of miscarriage. So the doctor then said it was a miscarriage, where you basically, your body thinks you're still pregnant, and then nothing happens, and that can go on for weeks. So I'm actually quite glad that we got that scan where they found out, because that meant we could get into the next steps rather quickly. We didn't have to wait. But the funny thing was about it that I think my body was, because I was like holding on to this hope that it will work out so much, that I kind of like made my body believe that I'm still pregnant, that it's still fine. Because literally a day after, I then started to show symptoms. So I started bleeding. So as soon as I knew that we lost it, my body was like, okay, cool, we can stop pretending now. We are not pregnant no more. So yeah, that was a really, really hard shock to the system. And we had to immediately go and talk to the nurse to see like what possibilities there are. And she described them all, like the natural way, like waiting for it to come out, or then taking a pill, which would make it a little bit faster. And then obviously the third option was a surgical removal. And because of like how she described, and at that point, my new job was about to start the week after. And I was thinking, do I want to sit in my new job and learn everything with being in pain and bleeding all the time? And the answer was clearly no, I don't want to do that. So the other option then was a pill, which would maybe make it quicker. But even then, the nurse said it might take another 7 days for it to actually take effect. And then I was like, okay, do I want to sit in my first week of the new job with pain and bleeding and cramps and stuff? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that either. So that wasn't an option. So the only option that really made sense to me at that point was surgical removal. So we booked that in literally 3 days later. So that we found out on Tuesday, we got then the surgical appointment on Thursday. And those couple, 3 days were very emotional. There were loads and loads of tears. It was loads of grief and just being like, the fuck is going on? The fuck am I doing with my life? Like, what is this? Why is this happening? And it was very tough, but I'm also very grateful for the time, because it just brought us more together as a couple and made us a lot stronger. So it brought about so many valuable lessons, and that was very healing to experience that, to still be loved that much, to still be supported and respected that much. And also like the pouring support from like friends and family when we told them was just overwhelming. There was like so much love coming our way, and I really appreciated that, and that helped so much. So just at this point, to everybody who did know at the point of time and who did send a message, thank you so much for your messages. I truly, truly appreciate it. My boyfriend truly, truly appreciated it, and it meant a lot to us, and it really, really helped. So they landed right in our hearts and really helped. And yeah, then the surgical removal itself, that was quite a traumatic experience, if I may say so, because we were told to come into the hospital at 7 a.m. and we left it at 7 p.m. because we had to wait for literally hours. So I think it was 7 hours until I finally got into the theater and had the procedure. And then afterwards, it just took a really long time to finally get out, but everything went well. They removed everything and it was fine. I could get up afterwards quite quickly again, walk around, eat something, even though my throat was sand dry. I don't know, like if they put that tube to help you breathe into your throat, like after that they take it out, it was just so dry. I literally could not swallow anything without water. Like I was trying to eat a little bit of bread and I had to, like those competitive eating people, literally take a gulp of water just to be able to chew it and swallow it. And the pain was also fine. It wasn't that bad. They gave me some pain meds afterwards. So that all went literally okay. Even though it was a very, very long day, very draining, very painful in the beginning, actually, because you have to take one tablet before the procedure just to help your cervix to open. And that started me to having very strong cramps and very strong bleeding. So that wasn't great because I was just sitting in a tiny room for hours and bleeding through my pants, quite literally. So, and I didn't have any pads, so I had to use toilet paper. Sorry to be graphic, but I had to use toilet paper to kind of like catch the bleeding and not bleed through everything. So that wasn't great, but everything afterwards was fine. And then it was just for the physical recovery, which was also quite tough because I wasn't allowed to exercise for like 2 weeks. So no heavy lifting at all for 2 weeks. And I couldn't even, like literally I couldn't tense my tummy muscles anymore. And it was like, I couldn't even go to the toilet without pushing, pressing or anything. Like I could just sit there. I couldn't do anything. So that was very interesting because I felt just like a very wonky person basically. And I did miss the exercise, because like heavy exercise, my normal exercise regime, just the routine, because normally that really gets me into my body and it just helps me to stay grounded. So I replaced it with yoga sessions. So sometimes I did like 10 minutes of yoga, sometimes I did a bit longer. I think the longest I did in that time was maybe 45 minutes. But that really helped over the course of those 2 weeks. Every now and then I try to do like a little cardio session with a tiny bit of weights, just to like ease my way back into it, but I really took it very, very slow with the recovery just to make sure I'm fine. And then over the whole course of October, I was basically just trying to get back into my normal regime, trying to get my body back into a normal state, also like navigating through all those like emotions still, because there was still so much to go through whilst also having like this new job, the business going on and everything else. But I think I coped well. I think I did well because I am at a really good point right now again. And there was a little like sad moment again when we had to take the pregnancy test afterwards just to see if all the pregnancy tissue has been removed, because you want that one. That's the only one you want to be negative, because you don't want anything left. Otherwise you would need to go back into the theater, and I did not want that. So we had to take that test, I think 3 weeks after the procedure. And it was negative, which was good because it meant everything went well, everything was fine, and my body can continue to just heal and get better again. And then I had to also wait for my period to come back. I read that it should take like 3 to 4 weeks. Mine took 5 to 6 weeks to come back. I literally just had it this past week, which was such a relief. I think this was the only time I ever looked forward to having my period, because it just meant my body is back to normal. It's kind of like a reset good, we are all fine now, we can kind of like try again. And the doctors did advise us to wait at least one cycle. We will wait roughly 2 cycles until we might try again, because we are going on a nice vacation, literally in a couple of days. So from the point of filming and this video coming up, Monday is the day we are going on vacation to Vietnam and Thailand. And I feel like also because of that, it's actually a good timing that it didn't work out. So I am really trying to see the positives in all of this, but it is a good timing in this one pregnancy not working out, because 1, I just got the new job, and then 2, we had this vacation planned for quite a while, and now with not being pregnant, we can actually just fully enjoy it. We don't need to worry about anything, there's no restrictions, and we can just follow our original plans and do whatever we want. I can surf, which is super exciting, because that's something I was worried about. Can I even surf when I'm pregnant? So yeah, we're just like really looking forward to a healing kind of like vacation just together, the 2 of us, like fueling up with loads of sunshine and beach time, because we will be mostly at the beach in Vietnam and Thailand, and I can't wait. And this is something we're really looking forward to. And yeah, then afterwards we can try again. But that is basically this story of the last couple of months, the miscarriage. And I just wanted to share it because I know it is actually more common than people think, but for example, I didn't know how common it is, and it took me by surprise. I didn't think it would be that common, and if you read statistics, it doesn't sound like it is that common, because like, oh yeah, after like 6 to 8 weeks, like 20% or 10% kind of like chance of a miscarriage. So it's not like 50% or 60%, so it's not that high, right? So it's just not something that you would expect. And that's why I wanted to just share my story with it, and just to let you know, if you're going through this, if you have been going through this, or if this is something that is worrying for you, then know that you're not alone. And it still can be quite an insightful experience. It can still teach you a lot, because for us, it definitely taught us that we are ready to become parents. We are ready to take this relationship on the next level. And the next time it will happen will be the perfect time. So those are really, really valuable lessons that just deepen and strengthen our connection, and will also strengthen connection when this little soul then decides to join us on planet Earth. So yeah, but with that, I also want to just send you a very, very big virtual hug, and just let you know that you're not alone. But that's all that I have for this specific video. I don't think it will come out as an episode. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I will extract the audio and upload it to my podcast as well, just as a bonus episode. But it will not have the usual edits. It's literally coming up raw like this, because I don't want to do any editing anymore, and I don't want my boyfriend to do any editing anymore before the vacation. So this is what you get, real and raw, without any makeup, bad hair day, hat, and yeah. But anywho, with that, I shall see you again. Oh, the cats are making a ruckus as well. But with that, I shall see you again with the next episode, which is coming out on Monday. Regular schedule, regular normal episodes. And yeah, hope you have a good time, and see you soon.